what about this? It's hoped that removing traffic lights will speed things up at one of the busiest junctions in Norfolk. The plans are to take 2 sets of lights from the Grapes Hill roundabout near Norwich city centre. You may be one of the thousands of motorists who use the roundabout every day. The idea is to cut down on congestion, but there is a warning that it will make things worse for cyclists and pedestrians. Our political reporter Paul Mosely has been speaking to Richard Bearman from the Norwich cycling campaign.
That junction carries an awful lot of motor traffic as well as pedestrian and cycling traffic. It's a really key junction. And several years ago, they put in the traffic lights on the roundabout to help cyclists use the roundabout and get across the city. It's a key route from the Earlham Road and Unthank Road residential areas. There is no viable alternative apart from the crossing on Chapelfield Road. It's a throwback to the 1960s, really, when the ring road was built and it was designed to enhance car flow and traffic flow and motor vehicle flow only. For cyclists to use this junction, you'll still be able to, but it'll probably mean more of them will want to get off and walk and can use the footbridge over the Grapes Hill, which is very sharp bends and hazardous. It's not a suitable shared use facility. The crossing that they're proposing to put in on Convent Road for Toucan crossing will be a 2-stage crossing. So if you wanted to get off your bike and go round via that crossing and Chapelfield Road, you've got 4 separate set cycles of lights to wait for, and I suspect a lot of cyclists won't wait for those. They'll be nipping through the gaps in the fairly stationary traffic.
As things stand, thousands, possibly tens of thousands of people go through Grapes Hill roundabout every day. The report for councillors says that bus journeys, they're massively held up there. People are stuck in traffic for longer. Surely something does need to be done to improve those flows.
Well, actually, the bus hold-ups were largely eliminated by the controversial changing of Chapelfield North to 2-way operating for buses and taxis and cyclists, so the buses can access that roundabout more freely. So I don't know where they get the idea that buses are now being held up somewhere else. And the bus lane uphill on Grapes Hill was put in at that same time. So bus journeys allegedly became much more reliable when that work was done. So I think the argument about a bus is spurious. If you reduce the amount of private motor traffic in Norwich and around Norwich, it will make bus journeys more reliable and easier, and people will use buses. But our real problem with the cycling campaign is that this roundabout is regressing to be a car-dominated space and making it much more dangerous for cyclists to use.
Certainly the plans also do include things for cyclists, like saying, for example, if you're coming from Unthank Road, Earlham Road Way, cyclists can use paths with pedestrians there. So cyclists haven't been completely forgotten here, have they?
Well, they have, because one thing we made very clear to the council a couple of years ago, that shared use paths are disliked. They're disliked by pedestrians and they're disliked by cyclists. And if you look at the proposed layout of the path from the top of Earlham Road by the Catholic Cathedral round to the roundabout, it's a very narrow path. It's substandard in width and it's got right angle blind bends in it. Now, I wouldn't want to be using it on a bike because of the danger of running into anybody who's on foot. I wouldn't want pedestrians to be sharing it with cyclists, and we think that's just a sop to the non-motorised road user. Basically, this scheme is going to be a disaster for accessing cycling to Norwich city centre.
But if you look at the survey results, people have been asked. Most people say they like these plans.
Well, because there's a lot of people driving into Norwich and around Norwich. That's very true. But it's a stated aim of this council and the government to improve sustainable transport, particularly walking and cycling, and that's their overall arching objective. This scheme goes directly in opposition to that and flies in the face of current thinking about reducing the amount of motor traffic accessing our city centre.
Richard Bearman from Norwich Cycling Campaign. Councillors are expected to approve plans to change Grapes Hill roundabout tomorrow.